Hey, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Thursday, November the 8th. This will be our price action chart lesson for today. And we had a major channel coming down through here off the failed break. We started in a trading range, and you can see that fairly clearly there. We broke higher, and guess what? Let me show you this. There's leg one. You got a higher low. Let me get that right. You got a higher low right there, and then there's leg two. And really, if you just did that's mostly stem up there, and there's pretty much and then there you go. You got almost a perfect measured move if you don't count the stem in there. So that was a place to be looking for the sell-off somewhere, based on that leg right there. Even if you count the whole thing, which you could do that. I don't know why that's. And you go right there. So you're looking for a sell-off up here. But when you get a double top after a failed break, and that set the trend for the day. And that's usually what will happen when you when you break out of a trading range. You'll have a failed break. And a lot of times you might fail out the low side first and then fail out the high side. But today we failed out the high side, and it was pretty much all downhill from there. We got a bounce right here, so you had to exit. But you had so many chances. I didn't enter all of these, obviously, but you had a chance to enter all down through here. And most of these, they came back and took the runners out on just about every one of them until I believe right here maybe. And but most of you pretty much you didn't get you were probably lucky if you got any runners that made it all the way today. It was just too choppy down through here for most part. This was a great entry right here. Even this one, they came back and got the runners. And the ES is just a very efficient market. And if you take the standard setups, the way we teach them most of the time, only the very best ones will get a runners. But if you learn how to get a little more aggressive and enter a little differently, or if you give it a little more room backing up, which is more dangerous, then you'll get more runners. So it's all about how aggressive you want to be. But let's talk about the trades. We started off in this trading range. There was actually a long entry right here, and you can see this. There's leg one, and there's two legs in that leg, and then there's leg two. And it didn't quite make it down there, so that's a signal that, when you don't make your target and it reverses, that's a signal that's kind of strong. And so let me back out where you can see this a little better. And really what this is you've got all these matching lows across here. You can kind of see that right there. And we broke below that, and you got a lot of overlap in there, and there's two legs down. So you could have gone long above this doji, but it's better to wait on a kind of a green bar. So right there was the better spot, and we took straight off up to the upside. You don't know that it's going to do this, but it did. And, you got to be ready. But once we made this double top, you want to exit, and there's a nice reversal up here off of that double top, and there's a little one tick. Notice how we ticked one tick higher above those two matching highs, and we closed up there though, so it didn't look very good to begin with, but from immediately after we closed, it went straight down. It opened on its high, closed on its low. That's really bearish. So you could have gone short right there, which is what I did, and I got a little worried when it went back up again. But it didn't close out there. But definitely when it went back up and tested that again, you could have even gone short right there when it turned back down again, because you got a new high and then you got two tests of it. And remember, anytime the market attempts something twice and fails, and that's why double tops and double bottoms work so well. And now you got a double top. You could tell that they weren't letting prices back up there again, and it was off to the races down to the low side here. And then we bounced right here, and you pretty much got two measured legs. But look, again, you got a double bottom with a one tick. I actually went long right there off those lows, and I just dropped a limit order. It ticked lower, turned straight up, easy trade, out quickly. But if you didn't enter there, it turned back down and then went back up and gave you a second entry long right there. And you got to be thinking at this point that we may go all the way back to the high side. Wasn't to be. but you don't know that. And so you got to be prepared for it. And your runners, you would have known to probably exit your runners when you went into this chop right here, especially when you turned down off this bearish bar on a second entry, a double top. And again, this is a nice short right here. You probably would not have had the, you wouldn't have known we were necessarily in downtrend. You got to be thinking that we may go higher, but when this double top formed, after all that movement down, you got to be thinking we're going to at least test this again. You see we went a little bit lower, reversed and turned up. Great, nice reversal bar once again. Look at that. Nice place to go long. Another easy scalp, good for a couple of points, but immediately, this is just a repeat pattern of this. We went right back into another double top. And if you drop that down, you can see that right there. So in another bearish reversal, you go short right there. Easy scalp, but it comes right back, so no runners. Then you actually could have gone short right here because this is somewhat of a lower high. So you could have gone short here, but we still weren't sure that we weren't in a range. And so it's kind of dangerous to go short there. I didn't mark that one. I didn't really like it. But once we formed another double top, and notice how the closes are getting lower, we ticked up there. There's that double top matching high. We ticked higher, turned down. So you could have gone short there. I probably should have marked this one green. I'm going to change this one to green. Because again, it's so close to that low. And you see it really got choppy in here. But it would have worked, and it did meet our criteria because it's a double top and a downtrend. We're steadily making lower lows and lower highs. So it meets our criteria. But it's not a great setup because unless you went short with a limit order right there. So I'm going to change that one to green. Same thing right here, except we did have a trap. Now we've kind of got a double bottom here. But notice how the closes are getting lower. Even though the stems aren't going a whole lot lower, the closes are getting lower. You don't want to be taking any longs at this point now because we are kind of working lower. You could have easily found this little channel by now. This is right off that trend channel line. You got another double top. We broke higher above this little negative bar here, then turned back down. So that was where you would have went short. It hesitated a minute, but quickly dropped on right down to the low side of the channel again. And where it bounced, came back up. You got a second entry short, 2 legs up. But this one didn't quite, this one failed. And but you just about had to take it. But then you had to be thinking that this line was up here. So you could have held here. It was probably better to exit. So if this one failed on you, it was probably worth holding if you saw the other, if you found this line and drug it up and saw the other possible trend line, it was definitely worth holding. If you didn't, you could have entered it right here. Again, no runners, unfortunately. And it came right down here and bounced again, came back up. But again, this is not a good setup. Too many overlapping bars. Nothing real, nothing, not a good bearish bar till right here. But then you got all those overlapping bars, and you see what happened. It broke lower and it snapped right back. So none of these are really good. This one was a possibility simply because it's a breakout pullback short. And it would have worked. Again, I don't like it. It's not a real good setup. But when we came up here and made these 2-bar matching high that made a double, kind of a triple top across there right at the trend line where we've turned before, that was a great setup. And it was off to the races. And this time, any runners were safe, so you could have gotten several points. And obviously, where you're looking to exit is right off the trend channel line. If it reaches there, especially if it makes a higher low and turns back up like it did right there, you might hold on this and wait to exit here. But when you get a reversal bar, and I should have turn this one, put this a green circle. And let me explain that because some of you that are new may not realize this. A blue circle is a long, a red circle is a short, and if it's green, it meets our criteria, but it's not a great setup for whatever reason I tell you. So hopefully most of you already realize that. But I'll remind people of that from time to time as we have new people coming. So maybe this could have been green, especially this one, but on as much as the market's been selling off lately, it's just not smart to be taken along in a downtrend. And so for that reason, I'm not marking them because I certainly didn't take them. As much as I wanted to take that trade, I didn't. And, looking back, probably should have. But, I had some pretty good money in the bank and I didn't want to give it back. But you got another chance to get short right here. And I don't think this is a perfect measured move, but you got leg one right there. And there's two legs in that leg. And then you got leg two right here. And you see it broke a little bit higher. Came back and tested that area. So you got another chance to enter here if you didn't take this one. And you may not have taken this one. The bars don't always look the same. So depending on how your bar looked, this was the first break of that trend line. Nothing bullish outside of it. That's a doji. Even though it does have a green body, then this is kind of an inside, but it's more bearish looking. So if you want to go short there, you could. It was better to wait on a second entry, which came right here. But as weak as the market is, you're looking for any reason to go short right now. And if it meets our criteria, you just about have to take it. We got another double top with a chance to enter here, but there's just too many overlapping bars and too many dojis in here. And if you didn't take that one, then you were stuck in all this mess right here. But if you were brave and took that double top right there, even though it made a little higher high, as long as you kept your stop above it, you could have survived even that. But what I would have done once you got into all this overlap and this chop, if you did go short right there, was get out of there. You had a chance to get out of there with a tick or two multiple times. And then you could have entered again right here because look how bearish that bar is after another failed break higher right there. So now you got a second entry long that failed that turns into a second entry short. But I didn't circle it because it's really late in the day and there's still a lot of overlap. And you can see even though it broke lower, it snapped right back and gave you a breakout pullback short, and then it snapped back again. So it's not worth entering in all that mess because there's too big a chance it could go higher. So I didn't mark anything in there. You might have taken that double top right there and gone short. And like I said, if you did, it was probably better to sneak out of there with a tick or two when you could. And then you got another chance to enter right here that wasn't too bad, but it's really late in the day. It's after 2:30, but I will discuss this just in case you took it. To break out pullback short, but you didn't really get a good setup until right here when it ticked higher and failed. Now you got a double top, two tries to go higher. You're closing down here on the low, and you see it did snap back, but it would have worked, and then you had another entry right here. And you can see even this late in the day, the price action's working. But notice, you never know, crazy things happen. But look what happened this time. We came up short and reversed and closed right in here. And, was my guess is that's because it hit the 3 o'clock and all the shorts had to start covering to get out. So the market does something a little different than what you're expecting. But it's still all the same. It gave you a double bottom and a reversal, two reversal bars. So, it still gives you a reversal type signal, and that's your signal to get out if you're still long down here. So, but you need to be out by 3 o'clock anyway if you're day trading, so it shouldn't be an issue. But that was pretty much it. And again, you can just see there were entries all down through here all day. And you hear me talk a lot about just the best entries are on trend days, pullbacks to the EMA and are the trend line. And we really had two trend lines in here because we had this little channel working within this trend. And I think that's just simply because we had all this strong support across here, and it took a while to work through all that, but there was some constant selling. But the market's been really weak, but don't let that lull you to sleep because this thing could bounce out of here anytime and rally twice as hard to the upside. So that's a big mistake that people make. The market starts doing something every day, and we've been going short had a good chance to go short the last few days and last couple of days. But don't make that mistake of letting it lull you to sleep, and then because we might keep doing this. The market might be in trouble, and we might keep doing this. I mean, we've had our huge sell-off the last couple of days. We're down almost probably, 75 points or so in a couple of days, and that's huge. But that's when it rallies the hardest. Sometimes when, you think it's done and it can't ever come back, that's when it'll rally the hardest. So not saying it's going to rally. I'm just saying don't let it lull you to sleep. Be prepared for anything to happen. Follow the price action and don't argue with it. When it starts making, just like right here, when it starts making higher highs and higher lows, you may not want to go long, but don't hang around with your shorts. Just exit and then wait for another chance to get back in. Don't give your money back. Because if you got short right here and you had some nice profit here and then you let it come all the way back and then it takes out your stops and then it turns and goes right back down. And that's exactly what they try to do. I mean, there's no freebies in this thing. And so don't let it take your money. Don't argue with the price action. When it's making lower highs and lower lows, it's going down. And when it starts making higher highs and higher lows, it's going up, even though it just might be a pullback. Don't hang around. Let it take your money. Just exit and then wait for, enter again back here or enter here on the second entry or wait for another entry or call it a day, whatever. But don't let it take all your money back because sometimes it will rally like this and never stop, and then it's 20 points higher or whatever. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. Actually, I meant to say one other thing and I forgot. Let me show you this. Another reason that you could have been looking for a reversal right here is we did break the trend line in here. This is all a trend line break. And look what happened. We got two measured legs down to a new low. And they're pretty close to being perfect measured legs. I would say that's probably leg one. And then there's leg two. And look, it really is a perfect measured leg. And so, that's another reason to be leery of going short in here because now you got a trend line breaking two legs to a new low. So we may rally and start a new trend. We may just get a correction. Who knows? But there's your break of the trend line, your two legs down. And then what happened? We rallied before we made, got down here again. And that's what you can kind of expect sometimes. So now I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. Hope you had a good trading day. We got one more day this week, and then we'll get a break. But if you didn't have a good trading day, hope you have a better one tomorrow, and I'll see you next time.